Welcome to the Shreveport Connection with Tommy. This is going to be about WWE Raw tonight, and also Superstars, and some WWE news first. And to start off the video, there's a trailer and an update on WWE Studios Inside Out with Triple H. Apparently the ringsidenews.com/carrier/LP/video/Triple H Inside Out trailer can be found on that site. Below is a trailer. Okay, the trailer points out that Inside Out, which stars Triple H, Michael Rappaport, Parker Posey, and Bruce Dern, as noted earlier when they posted the news. The movie will be released in theaters September 9th. It will be available on Netflix, Blu-ray, and DVD in October. I will try and post the video tomorrow night on that. Whenever I do the SmackDown spoilers and the other SmackDown and NXT results as well. The movie was originally titled Killing Karma, and Triple H's role was originally planned for Batista before he decided to part ways and leave WWE. Triple H stars as AJ, an ex-convict who had been locked up for 13 years for murdering his stepfather who was abusing his mother. AJ comes home and must protect his family and his friend Jack Rappaport after an accidental shooting leads to the mafia coming for them. Again, I will try and post the video tomorrow night whenever I do my video. After hosting this past Wednesday's MTV The Challenge Rivals, after the show, WWE superstar The Miz was invited back and will host next Wednesdays after the show also. John Morrison spoke with WWE.com this week about his return to action on Raw regarding his recovery from injury. He's quoted by saying, aside from the neck injury to repair herniated disc and drilling through some bone to relieve some pressure on the nerves of my arm, I had to do a lot of rehab to try to repair motion paths that were thrown out of whack by nerve damage. Nerves are very frustrating thing because you can't force them to get better like you can a muscle. They don't respond to effort and physical therapy. Nerves just take time. In the meantime, he's been trying to stay in shape while not training in ways that mess up the biochemics of his body. There's a little news about TNA's video on demand website. Are some videos of CM Punk while he was in TNA. The first of our new TNA Archives Superstar series. Next week, CM Punk is coming to TNA On Demand, the official online video provider of TNA Wrestling. Watch CM Punk's rare 2003-2004 matches from our Nashville Asylum pay-per-view events, the beginning of TNA Wrestling. Nearly 3 hours of matches. Never before have these bouts from Punk's early career been rebroadcast in their entirety. Until now, watch as CM Punk battles Abyss, Raven, Terry Funk, Sabu, Shane Douglas, and many more. Check back to ImpactWrestling.com on Thursdays to watch it. Plus details on more upcoming TNA Archives Superstars series specials. And they might even have Jeff Hardy's on there soon. And he's got a new YouTube account that I heard earlier today, but I haven't actually went to it to find out what it's about. Former independent wrestler Devon Nicholson has filed a $6.5 million lawsuit in the Ontario Superior Court of Justice against Larry Shreve, aka Abdullah the Butcher, a WWE Hall of Famer. The lawsuit stems from a 2007 match in Ottawa, Ontario, where Nicholson allegedly threw that Shreve cut him with a razor blade without his permission. Nicholson alleges that Shreve blood mixed with his own and gave him hepatitis C. But I read in that article that his blood testing came back negative. Nicholson learned of his infection in mid-2009, September. WWE rescinded their 3-year contract offer to Nicholson, allegedly, on the basis of his disease. According to Nicholson, his lawyer met with Shreve in September 2010 in Atlanta, Georgia, and agreed to provide blood work. Yet the suit alleges Shreve never provided the promised sample or results because they were negative. What do you expect? Shreve posted this note on his Facebook page July 17th. I received my medical reports, he quoted, I have no hepatitis or AIDS and anything. My blood tests are all negative. Then these fools will be prosecuted in justice, or prosecuted in justice. Hannibal, Billy Graham, and especially New Jack, the most vulgar boy whom business knew. Unquote. And that was all that that was said from that segment. Pre-ordering WWE 12. Warning from GameStop. You will get ordering from GameStop will get you alternate in-game attires for The Miz. The Rock is in New Orleans yesterday morning to begin filming on G.I. Joe. Hall of Famer Roddy Piper will be the host of the World of Hurt reality show. Second season, he is taking over the season 1 host Lance Storm, formerly of WCW and WWE fame, or should I say WWF fame. The following are the wrestlers who have been cast for the show, which begins shooting next week. Dylan Knight, Brady Malibu, Nick Price, Kyle Sebastian, Vance Nevada, Cole Bishop, Ravenous Randy, or how you pronounce it, Ravenous Randy, Kamikaze, Casey Spinelli, Lila Lodge, Samantha Hall, and Taya Valkyrie. Chris Jericho announced that he is a part owner of a sports training facility in Tampa, Florida now. Proud to be part owner with Derek Brooks and Chipper Jones from the Atlanta Braves fame and current player. And it's of the D1 Training Center opening soon in Tampa. Jericho wrote on his Twitter page, quote, best in the U.S., unquote. For more info on the facility, visit d1sportstraining.com. Okay, here's some news about Derek Brooks, if you're not familiar with him. He's a retired NFL linebacker, and Jones is an active member of the Atlanta Braves baseball team. I just explained that. It looks like an excellent facility based on the video, which includes testimonials from NFL players A.J. Hawk and Mike Vrabel, and Philadelphia Flyers wing Jody Shelley. Local newscasts in the Columbus, Ohio area noted over the last day that the criminal charges that were brought up against Chad Gaspard have been dropped by the police. If you didn't know, back in March, the former WWE star was allegedly walking in the street and obstructing traffic while in town for an Arnold Fitness Festival. Well, how come he was the only black person that got arrested when there were several hundreds of people going into the event? Well, Gaspard allegedly refused to show identification and ignored a request not to walk in the street. An officer attempted to take him into custody. Gaspard broke free, which is why the additional police were called. At the time, Gaspard claimed he did nothing wrong, while his girlfriend, my wife, or whoever it was, with William Josh Barnett, who was with Gaspard, claimed on his Twitter account Gaspard was arrested for jaywalking after the police made a big deal about nothing. Gaspard's wife, Crystal Marshall, and had claimed racial profiling, like I just explained. A friend of mine who was in town for the event wrote me immediately afterward, coming out of Gaspard's arrest, and noted that the street in question was packed with those attending the Arnold Fitness Festival, and walking in the street was commonplace for that event during the festival because of the most of the amount of people in the immediate area. And that source came from pwinsider.com. WWE is advertising Sin Cara for the August 20th live event in Tacoma, Washington. He received a 30-day suspension for violating a wellness policy on July 18th, and that is the first SmackDown show he would be eligible to reappear on. Sin Cara is not eligible to appear at SummerSlam on August 14th or SmackDown taping that follows on August 16th. There was a lot of speculation that he could be released by the company because all the backstage heat he had, but at this point it looks like he will be brought back on the road starting with the Tacoma watching the show. And he has advertised for numerous events beyond that date. A promo was taped at last Tuesday's SmackDown tapings where Johnny Curtis said he would be debuting on the August 5th episode. For some reason or another, the promo with Curtis did not air on last week's SmackDown, so it doesn't look like he will be debuting next Friday. This past Friday, John Cena surpassed Pedro Morales with more days spent as WWE Champion. As of today, Cena held the title a total of 1,030 days over his 9 reigns. Cena is currently number 4 on the list behind number 3 Bob Backlund, number 2 Hulk Hogan, and number 1 Bruno Sammartino. If you include Cena's 2 reigns with the World Heavyweight title, Cena's total days as a major champion in WWE is 1,133. If Cena keeps the WWE title until SummerSlam on August 14th, he will pass Triple H's total of 1,148 days as WWE Champion and World Champion. Based off Triple H's 8 WWE title reigns and 5 World Heavyweight title reigns. And Stan sent word that this past Friday's episode of SmackDown on Sci-Fi had a total of 30 minutes and 25 seconds of in-ring action, down from the previous week. Punk versus John Cena and Punk versus Cena versus Alberto Del Rio are some of the live event matches Punk is booked for. The 3-way is advertised for the Raw show on September 3rd in Trenton, New Jersey. So, needless to say, this could be your spoiler ahead of time after this month's pay-per-view, being that both titles will still be held. Cena versus Punk versus Del Rio versus Miz in a Fatal 4-Way is advertised for the WWE Super Show on September 17th in Youngstown, Ohio. Plans for Monday's Raw have Jim Ross, Michael Cole, and Jerry Lawler calling the entire show. Ross is back full-time and will be calling pay-per-views and upcoming international tours where WWE will be taping shows unless things change. As they always say, cards subject to change. Raw will continue with a 3-man commentary team. As seen earlier this week, Zack Ryder last week debuted a new Internet Championship belt on his YouTube show. Well, he also debuted it on last week's Monday Night Raw, or SmackDown, or whatever it was. The belt was custom made by Wildcat Belts out of Pennsylvania. They have also done the WWE United States title and the belt that was used on Hulk Hogan's Celebrity Championship Wrestling, as well as several independent wrestling belts. John Cena versus Alberto Del Rio, Dolph Ziggler versus Evan Bourne, and Kofi Kingston versus The Miz in a Canadian street fight are matches advertised for WWE's Tour of Canada from September 9th until September 11th. Rey Mysterio and CM Punk are not advertised for the shows, so I guess they're not going. For those wondering, last week's Raw was not a one-time thing, as CM Punk will be using the Cult of Personality theme throughout the rest of his WWE career, I believe, for the time being. Punk was using it at live events over the weekend. The Rock will be shooting Snitch shortly after his G.I. Joe filming that starts this week, and it ends in December. Unless Zack Ryder is taken off this week's Raw, which he was not, it looks like he will be appearing on both shows, Raw and SmackDown and Superstars. In case you missed it, Ryder appeared on this past Friday's SmackDown and was appointed by Triple H to be Teddy Long's new assistant, taking over Vicky Guerrero's old job. Zack Ryder has also been teaming up with Alex Riley at this weekend's house show, Raw Live Events. They lost to The Miz and R-Truth at Saturday's show in Rockford. They were scheduled and advertised for Raw, but that ended up changing. As A-Rye didn't even face, he just confronted Dolph Ziggler on Raw, as you will see, listen to later on. And Truth and Miz cut a promo before the match about how they were going to take down the Triple H-led conspiracy. And like I said, A-Rye and Zack Ryder lost to him. CM Punk and John Cena wrestled again at the Rockford show, going to a no contest after Truth and The Miz interfered. Cena and Punk hit their finishers on the two before ending the show with a stare down. Each with their own WWE title belt, just like they did last week on Raw. And tonight on Raw. Former WWE star Finlay will be in action for the Pro Wrestling Guerrilla promotion at their 2011 Battle of Los Angeles tournament on August 20th in Reseda, California. He will be in action against Kevin Steen from FCW, I believe. It might be a Ring of Honor. I've forgotten. Well, check it out for your local listings and see where you come from. Let me know. Congratulations are in order to Charles Robinson, who got married to his girlfriend, Amy, this weekend in Las Vegas. This past Friday, WWE Superstars had 25 minutes and 2 seconds of in-ring action, way up from the previous week. WWE Superstar Kurt Hawkins was apparently in attendance for an indie event for the Evolve Wrestling pay-per-view in New York City last Tuesday night. I may have mentioned this before. The Rock will be available as a playable character for fans who pre-ordered the WWE 12 through any participating retailer, and GameStop pre-orders will come with the alternate attires for The Miz. Alternate attires will be The Miz in a suit, just like they had Jericho in a suit, and his I'm Awesome t-shirt. It's being reported that the Wii version of WWE 12 will automatically come with The Rock as a playable character and The Miz's alternative attire as well. It has simply been a popular decision of speculation in the wrestling world, and it seems if WWE does plan for CM Punk and Triple H to eventually have a match. After speaking with several insiders, one said it has been a rumor floating around. Another said it seems to be what they've creative are really wanting to build up to. Sources are speaking of the possible plan of having CM Punk and Triple H face off in a match at Survivor Series this November at Madison Square Garden. Two interesting aspects to the feud that have come up is that an episode of Raw leading up to the match at Survivor Series, Triple H would beat up and bloody CM Punk. Before going forward and airing this, WWE would likely have to get the approval from USA Network. This would be something that is uncharacteristic to the WWE's more PG content, which includes avoiding having blood on screen. The other aspect is the feud to the feud is some type of stipulation in the match. While some suggest it would be that if Triple H loses, then he must step down from his chief operating officer position he is holding on screen. Others are saying that Triple H keeping on his on-screen power would be a stipulation, but only will be put into place if there is an equally important stipulation on the line if CM Punk was to lose. I was told the final decision of going forward to Survivor Series may not be made official until SummerSlam or shortly after. One source reminded me that Punk is holding a different hand of cards these days. Tonight's WWE Raw will take place from the Conseco Field House in Indianapolis, Indiana. Confirmed for tonight's show will be Triple H addressing the WWE title situation and CM Punk making his first official statement since returning. Tonight's show will also see a WWE Divas Battle Royal where the winner will face Kelly Kelly for the title at SummerSlam. And that means all the divas on the entire WWE roster on either show. Punk vs. Cena was advertised being for locally as your main event dark match. And I don't have any reports on that yet, so I'll post that on my SmackDown results as well. TMZ reports that WWE is taking serious security measures to keep performer Maurice Owlette safe after she received a series of disturbing emails from an obsessed fan. Company officials have added additional security personnel at recent events and plan to keep the extra protection in place as long as they feel that there is a legitimate threat. WWE has also taken additional security measures but are being tight-lipped in order to make sure they are effective. TMZ reported last week that Maurice filed a request for a permanent restraining order against 61-year-old Lee Silver last week, claiming he had sent numerous terrifying letters to my home and left more than 50 voicemails on my personal cell phone, all of which are extremely disturbing and delusional. Maurice says Silver's letters have gotten scarier over the past few weeks, with Silver promising that he will be coming to LA for her and will take her to heaven with him. Okay, the dude that performed for WWE last week, going against Mark Henry, his wrestling name was Bobby Howard, I believe. Is actually an independent wrestler, Sebastian Cruz by real name, and has racked up hundreds of new followers on his Twitter at Sebastian Cruz 87. Since Friday, Howard was picked up by Teddy Long's new assistant Zack Ryder to be the opponent for Mark Henry for that evening. He jobbed for Mark Henry, didn't even put his hands up as any defense. Or, in other words, stage setup for the squash match. In no way he got hurt, as all he took was a shoulder block and two World's Strongest Slams. And Mark Henry got the pinfall. Well, other breaking news, DUI charges against former WWE announcer Mike Adamle were also dropped this past Friday. In Illinois, Adamle was arrested in January of this year, but his breathalyzer test showed that he was well under the legal limit to be driving. As noted last week, Adamle was recently promoted to full-time sports anchor at the NBC affiliate in Chicago. So that's what he's been doing since he's left WWE and American Gladiators. Smashing Pumpkins lead singer Billy Corrigan, who is no stranger to the wrestling business, will be starting his own independent wrestling group this fall called Resistance Pro. Corrigan is a creative director and owner and will be making the official announcement at the Wizard World Convention in Chicago later this month. The following matches are advertised for August the 12th, Juggalo Championship Wrestling, Legends and Icons online pay-per-view, which takes place at Cave in Rock, Illinois. And most of these are legends from WWE and WCW. Terry Funk versus Roddy Piper with Cowboy Bob Orton Jr. at his side in an I Quit match. Well, the Outsiders are back together for this evening, and they were going against DX members Road Dogg and Billy Gunn. Scott Hall and Kevin Nash versus Road Dogg and Billy Gunn. Special referee is Sean X-Pac Waltman. A 10-man battle royal rumble with Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Tony Atlas, Honky Tonk Man, Carlito, Jimmy Superfly Snuka, Big Daddy V, Rob Conway, the Iron Man, Zach Gowen, Ronnie, the Hands of Stone Garvin, and Nick Eugene Dismore. Rikishi and Brian Christopher of Too Cool will be back together for this evening, as well as the Powers of Pain. Warlord now, I believe Warlord, and forgot his name. Raven versus Al Snow versus Rhino versus Balls Mahoney versus Shane Douglas versus a mystery opponent. This is your ECW match of the evening. And from the Wild Out Southern Boys, Tracy Smothers versus Wildfire Tommy Rich. And another match scheduled, Kamala versus Coco Beware versus Jerry King Lawler versus Judgment Mantell in a 4-way Memphis Madness match. And Bob Backlund is scheduled to go against Ken Patera. Also from WWE Legend. Rock and Roll Express versus the Headbangers are also scheduled. And Greg the Hammer Valentine versus Tito Santana in a cage match. And again, that's for August the 12th, Juggalo Championship Wrestling. Thanks to Doug Simmons from .NET Reader, sending in the results for all of the program tonight. Dark Match prior to Raw, returning Brodus Clay, beat the debuting Andy Levine. The match was all Brodus. Andy Levine looks ripped. He looks a lot different than he did on Tough Enough. He took heat for 6 minutes. Clay was reportedly off filming a movie, which explains his absence. I wouldn't read too much into Andy losing a dark match. After all, the match won't be acknowledged on TV, so no harm done there. And your Raw version of Superstars airing August the 4th, 2011. Vladimir Kozlov pinned Primo. JTG was out for commentary and got a huge pop. Quite a few people were even standing, unreal on that. And match number 2, Jack Swagger beat Chris Masters. And the guy has said he's went to all 3 events for the tour that they were doing in Illinois. 3 arenas in 2 weeks. I've seen Masters work in, and the crowd reaction is hot every time. Masters tap to the ankle lock for Swagger to get the win. Same spots as the previous night in Springfield, except for the finish. Jim Ross came out to a nice pop. Michael Cole came out with no music and a ton of heat. Jerry the King Lawler received a standing ovation, and that sets up your Raw show from tonight. And here we go. Raw starts with tonight's opens with a video looking back at Money in the Bank, where CM Punk won the WWE title from John Cena, and then taunted Vince McMahon with the belt. The video shows last Monday on Raw, where the Ray won the belt and then lost to John Cena, followed by CM Punk making his return. Then they go live to the Conseco Fieldhouse in Indianapolis, Indiana. And Michael Cole welcomes us to Raw. Cole hypes the fact that for the first time in history, we have 2 WWE champions. Cult of Personality hits, and WWE champion CM Punk makes his way out to a nice reaction from the crowd. Punk holds the WWE title high and gets the crowd to pop by running to each side tonight on the side of the stage, similar to how Rey Mysterio does when he gets his little boom, his little explosions during his entrances. Punk heads to the ring now. Cole is joined by Jim Ross and Jerry Lawler. Cole calls JR their special guest tonight, but Lawler reminds him JR is back full time. Punk takes a mic as the crowd chants his name and declares that the champ is here. Punk takes a seat in the middle of the ring, Indian style, as the crowd chants some more. Why did Punk come back? Punk says he knew for a long time his contract expired. as far as a year back. Punk says he was faced with a huge life-changing decision he had to make. Punk says he loves the place he works, but hates the people in charge. Punk says he could have either re-signed and dealt with everything, or speak his mind and cause some change. Punk says he spoke his mind and caused just a little bit of change. Punk calls it the domino effect and talks about how Vince McMahon was relieved of his duties the next night on Raw. Punk says he can feel change in the air. He takes some credit for the change, but says a lot of credit lies with the fans. Trying to get a face turn. Well, Punk then says the fans have been fed scraps for far too long, and he is there to give us what we deserve and make it fun again. Punk says he was sitting at home looking at the WWE title and realized that the voice of the voiceless needs to be heard. Punk says he can't change wrestling for the better from his couch at home in Chicago. Punk says he picked up the phone and made the call to come back to WWE. Punk says his timing couldn't have been better because in his short absence, John Cena is already WWE champion again. The crowd boos Cena's mention, but it wasn't booed as much because the crowd wasn't even into it. This was like a staged chant on the intercom. Punk says Cena is no more champion than the fans at ringside with the replica belt, which was actually the heavyweight championship belt, not the WWE championship, but the heavyweight championship. You know, the one that is held by Christian at the present time on SmackDown. Punk says that Cena has a belt, but he has a championship belt. So much for change. Same old, same old. Punk then says they start chanting Punk's name again. Punk says no matter what happened in a bogus tournament, he holds the most important title in the world. Punk holds up the WWE title and says it indicates that he's the best professional wrestler the world has to offer. Punk says he is the one, the only WWE champion. Punk goes on, but is interrupted by Triple H's music, and out he comes in his suit. Triple H enters the ring, and the crowd chants for him. Punk asks the fans to give it up for the HHH, the COO. Triple H wants to explain first why he resigned CM Punk. It comes down to one thing, business. Triple H says it was good for business. The same reason he brought back Jim Ross, and the same reason he brought back John Morrison, because it was good for business. Triple H says it's his job each week to try and give the fans what they want. Fans want to see him Punk, so Triple H put his personal feelings aside and gave them Punk. Punk asks about personal feelings, and Triple H tells him to take it as a compliment. Punk asks Triple H what his personal feelings are of him. Triple H says Punk is a smug, overrated, attention-seeking guy that puts too much stock in his own hype. Triple H says that that's not a bad thing. Punk says that's kind of like Triple H looking in a mirror. Punk says he is smug and kind of a jerk, but overrated. That's not for him to say. Punk talks about how Vince let main event talent slide through his fingers. Guys like Mick Foley, Batista, Chris Jericho, Brock Lesnar. Punk says Triple H didn't want to see him go anywhere else, but also couldn't afford to see him go somewhere else. Punk says he's hot. He's a commodity. Triple H tells Punk to tell everyone the truth about why he really resigned to WWE. Punk says he already has. He wants to make a change. Triple H says Punk resigned for himself, so he could have someone speak to the WWE Universe. Triple H says Punk resigned for his own ego. Punk says maybe, but the truth is that he's the WWE champion. Triple H says Punk is, but John Cena is also the WWE champion. Triple H says that's a situation he will fix later tonight. Goes to walk off as his music hits. Punk interrupts and stops Triple H's music, asking him to cut come back in the ring. Punk says he's just getting warmed up. Just because he signed a WWE contract, he's not going to shut up. Punk isn't going to spit out some PG doctrine. He's not going to promo. He's not going to a promo class or media training like some professional wrestlers need. Punk blows like Triple H did in his Hunter Hearst Helmsley days, and calls him by his former name. Punk talks about how Triple H's ego. Punk asked Triple H how many times he laid in bed with his wife and went, "Well, I just don't think he has what it takes." Punk goes on mocking Triple H and says he is what he always has been, a bully who likes to push people around. Punk tells Triple H to be careful because he likes to push back. Well, Triple H says right now his big ego is telling him to slap everyone one of Punk's stupid tattoos right off his skinny fat ass. Yeah, PG, he says fat ass. Triple H isn't going to do that, though. He took the WWE COO job for the fans, and he's not going to break the rules. Triple H strongly suggests to Punk not to break the rules either. Punk says, or what? Is Triple H going to beat him up or fight him? Punk messes with Triple H's tie and taunts him. Punk asks him if he has to get permission from his wife first. Punk then throws the mic down and walks off as his music hits Cult of Personality. And that was the end of the first segment. Then we see Rey Mysterio backstage warming up. Out of nowhere comes over his head his partner for the night, John Morrison. He almost took the head off of Rey Mysterio off just to let him know he's there. Well, the announcers hyped tonight's Divas Battle Royal, which is up next, and they go to commercial. Number 1 contenders Battle Royal. Bella Twins versus Beth Phoenix versus Melina versus Maurice versus Eve Torres versus Gail Kim versus Alicia Fox versus Caitlyn versus AJ Lee versus Natalia versus Tamina versus Rosa Mendez. Wow. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 13 of the Divas were on Raw. And they go to commercial, and back from the commercial, WWE Champion Kelly Kelly is on commentary. Divas are making their way down to the ring, and the winner of the match will face Kelly Kelly for the title at SummerSlam. Bell rings, and everyone goes at it. Melina gets eliminated early, as well as Gail Kim. Rose is over next, and the rules of this is just getting to the floor. 2 feet before you're eliminated. Bell rings, and everyone goes at it. Melina gets, like I said, got eliminated early, as well as Gail Kim. Rosa was next. Caitlyn went over the top but hung on. Tamina then knocks her out. Tamina and Beth go at it. In the corner now, Beth eliminates Tamina. Alicia Fox eliminates AJ. The Bellas eliminate Natalia. And it's down to Eve. Eve, Alicia, Beth, and the Bellas, and they cut to the commercial. Back from the break, and the Divas are still going at it. Bella's work on eliminating Beth, but she fights them off. Eve almost eliminated herself, but hung on the apron and goes at it with Alicia. Alicia was eliminated. Eve hung on, and again, and goes at it with one of the Bellas until she gets eliminated. Beth came over and double eliminated the Bellas, as she had one on her shoulder. Beth eliminated them both at the same time to win, and is your number 1 contender, and now faces Kelly Kelly. Well, after the match, Kelly Kelly came in the ring, celebrated with Beth momentarily. Beth grabbed her by her hair and out of nowhere tossed the Divas champion out of the ring. Beth threw Kelly hard into the fan barrier and grabs a mic. Beth says Kelly's days as the perky, cute blonde bimbo are officially over. Beth drops the mic and walks off, leaving Kelly Kelly at ringside. So, back to being heel character for Beth. Miz is backstage when R-Truth walks up. Truth says that they are pretty much the same. Miz says they are nothing alike. They talk about Triple H being a power and there being 2 WWE champions. Miz almost agrees with Truth, but he agrees with him that it's a conspiracy. Truth tells Miz to be careful or he will get got. Miz goes into deep thought as Truth walks off, and we go back to commercial. After commercial, and Josh Matthews is backstage with John Cena, WWE champion. Cena says Punk isn't afraid to speak his mind, but when you live by the sword, you die by it. Cena then says his focus is strictly on Triple H tonight because of the WWE title situation. Cena says he will be there at the end of the night when Triple H comes out to make his decision, and indeed he was. John Morrison and Rey Mysterio versus The Miz and R-Truth. They go to the ring out first with R-Truth, followed by his partner The Miz. They make their entrance, and we go to commercial. After commercial, Rey Mysterio is out, followed by his partner John Morrison. Miz and Morrison start things out. Morrison strikes first with right hands and drops Miz on his face. Morrison knocks Truth off the apron and gets clotheslined by Miz. Miz kicks away at Morrison now and starts stomping. Miz with a suplex and a 2 count. Morrison fights back and takes Miz down. Mysterio is tagged in and comes off the top with a senton on Miz for a 2. Miz and Rey go at it until Rey tosses him out to the floor. Rey with a baseball slide and sending Miz to the announcer's table. Rey kicks Truth back and leaps off the apron with a senton on Truth. Morrison corkscrews over the top, which actually almost does miss, and just barely lands on the Miz. And we go to commercial with Morrison and Rey in control on the floor. Back from the break, and Truth has Rey in a clutch. During the break, Miz took back control after slamming Rey down on his face. Truth applied an honorable stretch on Rey now. Miz came back in, worked Rey over, and got a 2 count. Miz with a headlock. Rey fought out and knocks Truth down on the apron. Rey counters and drops Miz. Rey goes for a tag, but Miz stops him. Hits a DDT for a 2 count. Truth comes in and continues his offense on Rey. Rey fights back, but Truth hits a corkscrew elbow, but Rey kicks out at 2. Truth drags Rey back to the corner and tags into Miz. Rey crawls for a tag, but Miz pulls him back. Miz stomps away on Rey and whips him into the corner. Miz with a big clothesline in the corner. Miz goes to the top, but Rey kicks him in midair as he comes down. Rey finally tagged Morrison as Truth came in. Morrison unloads on Truth and drop kicks Miz. Morrison drops Truth for a 2 count. Morrison goes for the Starship Pain, but Miz pulls Truth out of the way. Morrison hits the mat. Rey flew over the ropes and landed on the Miz. Truth comes back in, but pulled Truth out of the way. Morrison kicks him in the ropes. Rey come in and goes for a 619, but Miz pulls him to the floor. Miz tosses Rey over and into the crowd. Miz comes to the apron, but Morrison springboard kicks him back to the floor. Morrison turns around and he eats R-Truth's finisher for the pin and the win. After the match, Miz lifts Morrison and lays him out with a skull-crushing finale. Truth brings a bottle of water in the ring and hits Morrison in the head with it as Miz holds him up. Truth and Miz have their hands raised again in victory before leaving Morrison lay. We go backstage with Josh Matthews and Triple H. Matthews brings up CM Punk. Triple H says Punk thinks he dropped a big bomb by bringing up Stephanie McMahon. Triple H says that's old and tells Punk to get some new material. Triple H says if John Cena wants to come out later, that's fine. Anyone can come out. Triple H says Cena could keep it strictly business. Back to commercial. Well, he said he better keep it business. Back from the break, and out comes the United States Champion Dolph Ziggler with Vicky Guerrero. Vicky talks about the WWE title situation and then finally lets Dolph speak. He says when he said follow that last week, it was a message to everyone in WWE. Ziggler says nobody is better than him. Then we get Alex Riley's music hits and out he comes. Interrupting. Riley puts down Vicky and says Dolph has a good career so far, but asks when did Ziggler last accomplish something on his own? Riley says Dolph is hiding behind Vicky like Miz hid behind him. Riley says if Ziggler wants to be a real man, he needs to drop Vicky. Riley says Ziggler may be exposed for what he is, a bleached blonde, arrogant fraud. If he doesn't have Vicky, Ziggler then walks away with Vicky, telling Riley he doesn't belong out here with him. Ziggler stops and takes his coat off and hands the title belt over to Vicky. Handing it all to Vicky, Ziggler looks like he's ready to fight, but then drops out of the ring. Ziggler backs up the ramp, talking trash, but you couldn't hear it because he had no microphone. We get more hype for the WWE title situation. Zack Ryder and Santino Marella are shown walking to the ring as they go up against the WWE Tag Team Champions David Otunga and Michael McGillicuddy, and they go to commercial. And that match is up next, back from the break, and out comes your Tag Team Champions, McGillicuddy and Otunga. Former Nexus. With their new music for this non-title match, Santino Marella is out next, followed by his partner, Zack Ryder. Santino and McGillicuddy start things off with Santino striking first. McGillicuddy knocks Santino down, then goes to work, tagging in Otunga for some double teaming in the corner. Otunga comes in to work Santino over as you dig it alive. We want Ryder chant breaks out. Cole talks about Ryder's custom-made internet title belt. Santino fights back on Otunga and tags in a Ryder. Ryder with a back elbow on McGillicuddy comes in on a tag. Ryder drops both of the champs and hits a big running kick to McGillicuddy. 2 count by Ryder as Otunga breaks it up. Santino chases Otunga off with a Cobra, but gets taken down by McGillicuddy. McGillicuddy turns around, but blocks Ryder's tag and tags in Otunga for some more double teaming in the corner. Otunga got the pin out of nowhere on Ryder for the win. Then they hype more for tonight's segment with Triple H, John Cena, and CM Punk as we go to break. Back from commercial, we see a replay from earlier where Triple H suggested to CM Punk that he not break the rules, and Punk brought up Stephanie McMahon. We see Punk backstage with Josh Matthews. Punk says he's waiting on Triple H's decision just like everyone else. Punk says he was testing Hunter earlier and he passed with flying colors. Punk says their relationship will be strictly business from here on out. Punk says he beat Cena in Money in the Bank and the champ is here. Next up is Alberto Del Rio versus Evan Bourne. We go to the ring. Ricardo Rodriguez begins to introduce Alberto Del Rio. Del Rio comes in driving a Rolls Royce. Del Rio makes his way to the ring with his Money in the Bank briefcase, and they go back to commercial. Back from the break, and out comes Evan Bourne. Bell rings, and Bourne goes to work with kicks. Del Rio drops him with a boot and gets a 2 count. Del Rio goes to work on Bourne's arm using the ropes. Del Rio with a drop kick and a 2 count. For more mat work from Del Rio as he works on Bourne's arm. Bourne fights back with kicks, but Del Rio hits a backbreaker for another 2 count. Del Rio with right hands and an armbar slam for 2. Del Rio continues the attack on Bourne's left arm. And if you're not familiar with pro wrestling, that is the arm that everybody is supposed to work on. Bourne fights out again using kicks, but Del Rio stops him with a headbutt. Bourne blocks a suplex with knees to the head and comes back with a series of kicks himself. Bourne drops Del Rio with a flying knee. Bourne goes up to the top, but Del Rio kicks him in the head. Bourne falls hard to the mat. Del Rio applies armbar submission as Bourne taps out, and that was your main event. Okay. After the match, Del Rio poses before grabbing Bourne again and applying the armbar. Kofi Kingston runs in for the save, sending Del Rio and Ricardo back up the ramp. Triple H is shown backstage, heading to the ring as they go to commercial. Back from commercial, and out comes Triple H. He says for the first time that there are two champions, CM Punk and John Cena, and both have legitimate reasons why they should be WWE champion. Well, John Laurinaitis comes out and interrupts. Making his way to the ring, Laurinaitis introduces himself and his job, noting that he took over from JR's old position. Laurinaitis said it's his job to sign talents and manage their contracts. Triple H says if he needs to sign a new contract, he will call Laurinaitis and ask him what he wants. Laurinaitis points out Triple H has worked in corporate for a short time, like he's going to challenge him to a match. And he also says he has worked in WWE corporate for over 10 years. Laurinaitis knows how Vince would think and what he would want Triple H to do, and that would be strip John Cena of the WWE title. He says, well, Cena's music hits and out he comes, one of the WWE champions. Well, Cena came out and talked about Laurinaitis being one of Vince's yes men for years and mocks him. Cena says Laurinaitis wants him stripped of the title because he knocked his teeth out at Money in the Bank, and that's the only reason. Well, Cena tells Triple H if he loses the title, that's fine, but he won't let it be stripped. Cena rips on Laurinaitis some more. Laurinaitis tells him he's out of line and didn't make his decision off what happened at Money in the Bank. Laurinaitis says Punk beat Cena. Cena says his favorite moment from the Money Bank was punching Laurinaitis in the head. Cena says he thinks he should do it again right now. Cena threatens Laurinaitis again. Triple H says he doesn't have any problem with that. Laurinaitis runs out of the ring quickly. Cena asks Triple H if he's going to strip him of the title. Cena goes on, and Triple H says he won't strip him. Triple H says Cena's claim to the WWE title is legitimate. Triple H says he spoke with Punk after Comic-Con and offered him a new deal. Triple H says he didn't hear back from Punk until Cena was beating Ray in the ring for the WWE title. Triple H goes on, but is interrupted by Cult of Personality, which is CM Punk's theme song now. And out comes WWE champion CM Punk. Punk starts talking, and the crowd chants his name. Punk wonders if Triple H is going to strip him also. Well, Punk says everything is going back to normal now, where he throws up every day when he comes back to work. Triple H tells Punk and Cena both to quit their whining like little girls. He tells them it's not Hunt. His name ain't Hunter either. He's their boss. Triple H says he will settle it at SummerSlam with a WWE champion versus WWE champion match. Winner will be the undisputed WWE champion. Triple H then walks off, leaving the two champions in the ring. Punk raises his title as his music hits. Well, Cena does the same thing, raises his title, and his music hits. This goes back and forth. Punk raises, he goes to the corner, and CM Punk's music hits again, and Cena does the same thing, points at which corner the fans wanted to go to, which was a total opposite. And he goes up and holds his music, both of their music hits again. And they go back and forth doing this, raising their belts in the air. All goes off the air, with Punk and Cena both playing up to the crowd as the theme songs were going back and forth. Well, at the end, I believe both of them were playing. And that ends my WWE report for Raw and Superstars. See y'all tomorrow night for SmackDown NXT and SmackDown version of You're superstars.